Hey guys, in this tutorial we're going to be talking about motion clip blending. Now this is when you basically take two motion clips and you combine them together and you create a kind of a transition area between the two so they blend into one another. So let's get started first with our boy Saul on the screen here. I'm going to show you how to create a simple blend first. So we're going to go to the animation tab, into motion. Let's just go into 3D motion and we have performs. And what I'm going to do is find a laughing perform, I believe we have here. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to double click that, apply it to Saul. He's slapping his thigh, having a good old laugh there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply, right after that, where we're still at frame 81, I'm going to apply a clapping. I think the clapping, there we go, clapping male, or cheer male, there we go. Just click that. And so then we have two motions applied to Saul. So let's press F3 and go into our timeline and open up our 3D motion track. So we got to go a little bit further back here, and let's zoom out a little bit on our timeline. And you can see there we have perform laugh and perform applaud. So we got those two motion clips, one after the other, but if I scrub through the timeline like this, you can see it just kind of pops into the beginning of the second motion, and we want to try and create a more natural blend between those two motions. So right now it's like that, a little bit jerky. And let's try and create a more natural transition. So I'm going to show you about the transition area right here. So let's zoom in a little bit now, and I'm going to move this clip a little bit to the side. And you can see we have a little area that's white there. That's called the transition area. Now that's basically the blending area for blending from one clip to another. So if I take this and I expand it, I can click and drag it and expand it down here. Take a look at how different the transition is now. If I play back, you can see now my arms are kind of going back up. Just ignore the layer issues for now. That's sometimes happens when you're combining two 3D motions in a 2D environment. But basically you see that little blend right there, and that's how the transition area is blending the two. Now, if I wanted to make that faster, of course, I can bring it up a little bit. And there we go. Maybe that's more of a natural speed. So, okay, we've got that taken care of. Let's go ahead and fix those layer issues then. So we'll go to the frame here. You can go to any frame before the hands contact the torso. And just go ahead and go into layers right here. There's two ways you can do this. You can either do it through 3D motion editing, but I'm just going to use layers for now. That's a bit more of a simple process. And let's select the, I think we have to make the forearm and the hand go above the torso. Yep, that should be good. So we can just control select these two body parts right here. And let's use this one. This is move to top. And that will move that to the very top of the layers on the body. And you can see that we have that nice hand in front of the body transition right there. Alright, so let's go to that same frame. I think it was frame 72 here. And I'll show you another method to do this. If I wanted to select my forearm and hand for the left arm, I can just go to send to front right here. And then I can send it to the front of the torso. And let's take a look at what that did there. You can see now it's in front of the torso, but it's kind of behind the right shoulder there, and behind, it's okay down the bottom there, but maybe it's behind the right shoulder. So let's go ahead and back to that same frame, frame 72, I believe. Yep, and we'll select that forearm and hand again, and send to the front of the right shoulder, and then we should have a good natural transition. There we go. Alright, so there's our laugh to the clap motion. It's our own custom motion we've created, combining those two. I'll just play that back really quick. There you go. And if I wanted to, maybe I can loop this a few times, and we can have, we can have Saul laughing or clapping up a few times. Alright, and then if I want to save this clip, of course I can go to Collect Clip, and let's just click and drag in the area we want to save. And we'll right click on that area, or that track rather, Collect Clip Track, and I can save it as a 3D motion. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll call this one Chuckle. You can call it whatever you want. And I'll just save that, and I save that into my custom motion folder. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go back to frame 1, and we'll bring in another character here. Let's bring in actor, and maybe let's go ahead and bring in Emma. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply that animation to Emma as well. So let's go to the animation folder, custom, and motion, And there we have Chuckle right at the top. And let's bring that over to Emma. And there we go. There's our custom motion. And what I can do is, since this is a 3D motion, I can, select Emma, use my left bracket key, and rotate her that way. And maybe let's have Saul do the same thing, rotate to the right. And then they can be, having a conversation and laughing together. Just like that. And you'll see that Saul will actually pop back into the 0-degree profile. And that's because if I press F3, you see these keyframes right here in the 3D angle track, those indicate the direction he's facing. And those ones are still at 0 degrees. So I can actually just go to that keyframe, move him to 45 degrees, and that should work. This angle data will transfer to all the other looped clips as well. So that'll be our final motion. And you can see it works from any angle. So that's pretty cool. And that's how you save your motions. Now, one other good thing about the ability to blend motion clips, I'm just going to create a new project and we'll go ahead and bring in our boy Saul again here. One other cool thing about blending motions is that if you do have angle changes like what I showed you right there, you can actually kind of smooth those out quite a bit. Normally, I'll show you what I mean in just a moment here. So let's go to animation. And we want to go to our template folder there. And let's go to talk. We'll just do a talking one right here. And what I'm going to do is, we'll say Saul is making a business presentation. We can even, bring in a scene. Let's go to our scene just to kind of give you a better visual of, what I'm talking about here. I'll bring in our scene. This isn't relevant to the blending, but it's just kind of cool to, just pretend that Saul is making a presentation. So we'll bring him back there, and what we're going to do is we're going to blend those motion clips. Actually, we're going to bring him to the front first so you can see his legs, and then we will bring him to the back once that motion is complete. So let's go to animation and talk. And what I want to do is just use a basic talk. I think we have a normal talk right here. Yep, 3D motion right there. Double click that. You can see Saul is talking, and then he's going to do this present. Okay, and that looks fine the way it is, but say you wanted him to maybe, move a little bit further to or change his angle a bit to like maybe 270 degrees so he's, facing the board more. We can do that. Let's press F3, go into our timeline again, into the 3D motion track. You can see there are clips right there. And right here is where the 3D angle keyframe is. So let's go to that frame right there, and let's move him to this 270 degrees. So that's kind of a more, he's more facing towards his, the graph that he's presenting there. So let's take a look at what that looks like when I combine the two. So you can see he kind of just pops into place like that, and it doesn't look very natural. It looks very, jerky and stuttered. So let's go ahead and try to see what will happen if we expand that transition area. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a bit better here. Let's try and expand that transition area to maybe about frame 50 there and see what happens. You can see, in addition to blending the two motions together, it's actually changing the direction of his body a little bit more to suit that the upcoming 45-degree change. So maybe we want to make this a little bit less. Maybe something like that will do. You can see it. Maybe his arm still goes through his body right there. But you can see that it's kind of has a bit more of a smooth transition from one angle to the other. Maybe we'll go back to something like 50. Okay, so that is kind of what I'm talking about when you're changing angles. Let's go ahead and bring this back to one frame to see the difference again. Boom, just like that. If we wanted to have a more smooth transition to the new angle, we can, that transition area also helps that as well. Now let's take a look at how we can fix this using a different way. With the 3D motion layer track, I'm going to double click there and open up the 3D motion key editor right here. Let's add a keyframe right there. And what I want to do is go down to here. Actually, we'll add the keyframe right before his hand is going through his torso right there. So let's go ahead and bring that up to about there. And then here, where his hand is through his torso, what I can do is maybe about here, let's go and select that left arm here. And then go ahead and select the rotate tool. You can actually also select, use the E hotkey. So let's move this out just like that. Maybe something like that'll be okay. Maybe we'll select the upper arm and move that up a little bit. There you go. So you can see I'm modifying this this motion in 3D, and that's kind of creating that different effect. I think his hand, maybe we want to rotate that back a little bit. There you go. It looks a bit strange. There we go. That should be just fine, and we'll see how that worked out. So now we go. There we go. So there's our nice transition from one angle to the other, like that. And you can see maybe his arm right there is kind of flopping back and forth. I think maybe our transition is a little bit too long. Let's see if we can shorten that a little bit. Still flops around a little bit. There we go. That's a bit better. And that should be just fine. Maybe even a little bit less. About 60. Alright, that looks nice and smooth. So that's basically how you can use the 3D Motion key editor in combination with the angle change and the transition area to create a smooth transition from one angle to the next. Alright, so let's do one final example here. I'm going to start a new project one more time. We don't need to save this one. And let's go ahead into the Content Manager and find our boy Saul again. We'll just add him. You can remove the animation and start from a new, but I just like to start a new project. It's a little bit quicker. So this one I'm going to be blending different poses together. So let's go to the Animation tab again. And in our Motion folder, go to G1. And we have a number of different poses in the G1 folder. Let's take a look at those poses we have. We have kneels, jumps, lie downs, and everything like that. Let's go ahead and start with the kneel. We'll go down to kneel 01. And then it comes up with a dialog box that asks what angle you want to apply it to. You can see our character is front facing at 0 degrees. So we'll just select that for now. And you can see Saul goes down into his deep thought pose or modeling pose, whatever this is here. Okay, so then let's go into the timeline. Press F3, go into my timeline here. I need to bring my timeline up here. And in the 3D Motion track, you can see we have that one clip, which is SNeil01. And it's just 2 frames long. Let's go down to frame 30 and let's add in another clip, another pose rather. So let's go to stand this time. And let's try stand 01. And again, we're going to apply that to 0 degrees. And you can see that for this entire area between the clips, there's nothing because we don't have any transitions. And then pop, just pops into that pose right there. So let's bring that transition area a little bit further down, maybe to about frame 10 should do. And let's see what happens there. You can see that's all kind of just goes into his standing pose right there. But there's 2 things that are pretty unnatural about this. The one is that he's not actually kneeling on anything because his feet are going straight out. The motion is centered on his hip. That's the root of the motion right here. And the second one is it's a little bit too linear. It's a little bit too consistent with the animation from one pose to the other. And that doesn't look very cartoony at all. So let's go ahead and fix that. First thing we're going to do to fix the root problem is I want to right click on this pose right here, and we want to select Align Whole Clip. And for this one I want to align the whole clip probably to the right leg. I think that should work just fine. And now you can see, yep, he's standing up on his right leg there and going into that standing pose. So now it's more like this. And he's not kind of just expanding his body like he's floating in space or something like that. Alright, so then we have that nice transition from one to the next. And let's take a look at how we can make this a bit more dynamic. And we're going to use transition curves for that. So I'm going to right click on the clip again and select transition curve. And let's just go to custom first. And you can see right now we have a linear transition curve. That means that it's just kind of calculating from this point to this point the straightest possible route. So let's see what happens if we add a little bit more dynamic movement to this transition here. So let's go into the curve options and we're going to use an ease in. And you can see now that with the ease in and ease out, you can check out our timeline tutorials for more information on this stuff. But basically, ease in, the transition, there's going to be less motion down here where the curve is very low. But when the curve is very high on the y-axis, there's going to be most of the motion taking place there. So let's take a look here. You can see there's not very much motion happening in the first half, just a little bit. But in the second half, it's a lot of motion between this area and this area. Let's try and make that a bit more extreme so I can kind of emphasize that point. You can see in this beginning part now there is very, very, very little motion, and it doesn't start until this point right here and then just pops up into that pose. So that's basically the ease in option. Let's go and try a different one. Let's try ease in and ease out. And in this case, we'll just make this a bit less extreme. You can see that there'll be barely any motion happening here in the transition area, and most of the motion will be occurring in this area here at the middle. So let's go ahead. So you can see very little motion, and then zoop right there. That's a lot of motion, and then here it just kind of smooths out. So let's go ahead and take a look at that in real time. So that's kind of a very like zoop kind of nice move, and it just softens out near the end there. You can see that very soft kind of slow down. Normally you go ahead and use ease in for this. I think that should be a good curve right there. Let's take a look at that in real time. You can see it just pops up. A very dynamic movement, definitely more cartoon-like. So let's go ahead and add a few more of those. Let's go to frame 60, and maybe let's add, just quickly select this stand 2, apply that to 0 degrees, and you can see again he goes down to that position, which is not what we want. Down to there. We want to, for here, maybe align the whole clip. Let's try his, align whole clip. Let's try his left leg here, and that should be fine. There we go. And then we need to, of course, expand that transition area. And let's go ahead and use a nice ease in and make that a bit more extreme. And let's go on to the next frame. Let's keep this at 30 frame intervals. We'll go to frame 90. And let's try a more funky pose here. So let's go down to, I think there's stand 07. This one's kind of cool. There you go. We'll just apply that. And again, we want to align this to the right leg. Should be fine, and expand the transition area down to about 20 frames down, and we'll use an ease in. There you go. Now again, make sure that you're aware that the transition curve only applies to the transition area. It does not apply to the clip itself. If you want to apply a motion to the clip itself, you'll have to use time warp, and you can learn more about time warps in our timeline tutorial. So let's right click on this, and you can see time warp right there. But it's not going to do anything because the clip is way too short. But that's just something to keep in mind. And let's go ahead and do one more. Maybe let's make him kneel down again here. We'll go to kneel. Let's see if we can give him this. This one looks pretty good. Kneel 05. There we go. And then he has kind of like a nice modeling pose. And again, we'll right click on that. Align that one. Let's align this one to the right leg. Should be fine. And same procedure. Expand the transition area. And let's do a nice ease in. There we go. And just make that more extreme. So let's zoom out of the timeline. Let's take a look at the end result here. So we'll start right here. Zoop, 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 and kneel down. Alright, so that's pretty cool. That's how you can create more like dynamic, energetic, cartoon-like movement. And if I want, I can maybe even, I can just take these, and speed them up a little bit. This is a very cartoon-like, motion sequence. Maybe a few frames down. And I'll bring this one all the way up as well. There we go. And that'll just be like a faster transition. So there you go. So you got those nice, fast, dynamic movements, very cartoon-like, and much more interesting to look at than the linear transitions that you saw before. And aligning the clips to different body parts definitely helps as well. So that's about it for motion clip blending. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more tutorials on our YouTube channel in the future.